Hey everyone, welcome back to this Forge College Explainer. Today we're diving into lending mechanics, collateral, and risk models. Now this is an absolutely crucial part of our Introduction to Solana Lending Protocols lesson, which fits right into the broader lending, yield, and derivatives on Solana module. And of course that's all part of the massive Solana ecosystem, DeFi, oracles, AI, and applied protocols track. So if you've ever found yourself wondering how decentralized finance actually keeps its gears turning, without a bank manager in sight to approve your loan, you are absolutely in the right place.
So in our last explainer, we talked about the security trade-offs in multi-sig wallets, right? We learned how they keep the protocol's main vault safe from malicious attacks. But here's the thing. While multi-sigs protect the protocol itself, understanding today's lending mechanics is what actually keeps your users' financial health safe from sudden, chaotic market tantrums. Because, let's be real, you can have the most secure smart contract in the world, but if your interest mechanics are flawed, your users are going to get wrecked the absolute minute the market sneezes.
All right, here is our blueprint for today. First up, we'll look at the lending protocol blueprint. Then we'll dive into interest rates and accrual, followed by how we actually value your collateral. After that, we'll map out the liquidation lifecycle and wrap things up with how to build safe user experiences.
Let's jump right in. Section 1, the lending protocol blueprint.
So I want you to think of a lending protocol as this massive, continuous, on-chain machine. And to make it work, internal reserve accounting, which is basically just the ledger of who deposited what, is tightly coupled with external oracle valuations. Oracles, if you aren't familiar, are essentially price feeds from the outside world. The protocol uses these two interlocking gears to figure out exactly who owes what and what their assets are actually worth at any given millisecond. Honestly, it's kind of like trying to balance your checkbook while someone is randomly shouting out changing currency exchange rates through a megaphone. If these two systems don't sync up perfectly, well, the whole machine breaks down.
Moving on to Section 2, interest rates and accrual.
Now, there is a distinct difference between how variable and fixed rates operate in this machine. You've got variable rates, and these constantly shift based on market utilization, which just means how much of the pool is actively being borrowed. Compare that to fixed rates, which literally lock in a snapshot in time for a specific user. For a developer, each of these requires a completely different integration approach. You absolutely cannot just treat them the same in your code.
For your engineering integration, you really have to look closely at the variable model. You've got to read the current index and actually run an on-demand accrual before you compose your transaction. If you just assume interest accruals happen magically off-chain in the background, you know what's going to happen? You're going to end up displaying stale, wildly inaccurate numbers to your users. Your front end needs to actively trigger or calculate these updates so the user knows exactly what they owe right this very second.
All right, Section 3, valuing your collateral. Let's break down LTV, or loan to value. Think of this like a credit card with a dynamic limit. Say you deposit $100 worth of Solana. The protocol isn't going to just let you borrow $100 against it. Instead, they apply a conservative percentage, let's say 75%. That LTV dictates exactly how much borrowing power your pledged collateral actually gives you. It's basically a built-in buffer against the crazy volatility of crypto assets.
But what happens when the market takes a dive? Well, that's exactly where the maintenance margin comes in. Just like that credit card, the maintenance margin is the absolute minimum equity you must keep in your account. It's there so you avoid dealing with the DeFi version of a ruthless collection agency. If your collateral's value drops and gets closer to your borrowed amount, you start bumping up against this extremely critical threshold. To keep track of all this chaos, we use what's called the health factor. Your health factor is the ultimate metric keeping you alive in the protocol. It's calculated super simply. You just divide your usable collateral by your borrowed amount. But remember, this ratio is constantly shifting based on those oracle prices. And depending on the protocol, these prices can either be slowly averaged over time to smooth out the bumps, or updated instantly on the spot, which, can cause your health factor to swing wildly in a matter of seconds.
So the crucial point you need to remember is this exact number, 1.0. If your health factor dips below 1.0, your dynamic credit card is officially maxed out. You've breached the maintenance margin and boom, the protocol's engine triggers an immediate, automated response to protect itself from bad debt.
Which brings us to Section 4, the liquidation lifecycle. This on-chain workflow happens in 3 precise, totally unstoppable steps. First up is detection, where the smart contract recognizes the health factor breach during an accrual update. Second is swift execution, where the protocol steps in and either directly seizes the collateral or auctions it off. And third is the final settlement,
which wipes out the bad debt and updates the internal indexes. And listen, once Step 1 triggers, there is absolutely no pausing. You can't call customer service to explain you just need a few more days.
To make sure this actually happens reliably, the protocol offers liquidation incentives. Basically, this is a juicy discount offered to automated liquidator bots. If your account is underwater, these bots can buy your collateral at a cheaper price than the open market. Because of this financial incentive, on-chain enforcement is blindingly fast when the market takes a sudden tumble. It is a highly competitive race to liquidate unhealthy accounts.
And finally, Section 5, building safe user experiences.
As a developer, you really have to look at this and ask yourself a very serious question. How are you going to protect your users from sudden price shocks or lagging oracles ruining their day? I mean, imagine a user clicking borrow based on old data on your UI, only for the on-chain transaction to instantly push them below a health factor of 1.0. They'd literally be liquidated in the exact same block. No way do you want that.
To stop instant liquidations from happening, you must aggressively fetch the latest accrual indexes and oracle updates before you let anyone sign a risky transaction. This means you've got to recompute health locally, explicitly warn users if the oracle is lagging, and force clear confirmation steps when they're getting dangerously close to that maintenance threshold. So, your ultimate integration checklist boils down to this. Always simulate a worst-case 10% price drop locally just to show the user what could happen. Always calculate and display a pessimistic health factor. Make sure your user interface clearly treats displayed numbers as estimates until the transaction is fully confirmed on-chain. At Forge College, we heavily emphasize these pessimistic UI states, because transparent, cautious applications are what actually retain user trust during those wild market swings.
All these theoretical concepts we've covered today, calculating your LTV, checking the accrual index, simulating that pessimistic health factor, they are the exact blueprints you're going to need for our next hands-on coding lesson. That's where we'll actually build these cross-program invocation flows, and you'll be taking these formulas and putting them straight into your SDK.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Is the integration you're building going to protect your users when the market gets chaotic? Will it act as a true protective dashboard, or will it leave them guessing in the dark and serve as a trapdoor? Before you jump into the code, head over to forge.college to explore more deep dives into Web3 development, review these risk models, and ensure you're building the safest experience possible. Thanks so much for learning with us, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.